Tell you what, it's been a hot minute since I've done a proper live cast, and this. I'll tell you what, it's going to be something interesting here, that's for sure. Oh, are we doing what do you call it? These are custom cars. As far that would make more sense rather than just the one of them. Although I'm not entirely sure which league is which for the colors. I could be wrong, but it's. I tell you what, we're gonna have ourselves a good time tonight. That part is for sure. Very glad to be here. Very glad to be live. Somehow this is working. I have no idea. Don't speak too soon because it's that you never know. These things could very much crap out at the it very much could crap out whenever it wants. So don't what do you call it? Don't speak too soon because I'm not sure how well this is going to work if it works at all. But what I do know, um, during the race you'll see who is who. Okay, very good, very good. Either way, we're going to do our best here. If it ends up that we have to upload this later on, that then so be it. I can very easily do that. But what I do know is this: we're going to be at Spa tonight. We got the sprint race weekend as well, according to the info that I got given, which means we're going to be in for a lot of surprises tonight. Circuit Spa Francorchamps is always one of those tracks that will provide that sort of craziness. And I tell you what, very much a clean slate with everybody on tap here. This is my first introduction to either of these two leagues. The only driver I'm actually even somewhat familiar with is that of Patrick78. And yeah, that's about it. Everybody's gonna be criticized, I think, a little bit evenly here, hopefully. But should be a very fun one. That part is gonna be for sure. This track always provides great results, time and time again. Very, very excited to be here. Very excited to be live. Hopefully, it looks good. If we do run into stream problems, please let me know in the comments. Again, I have no idea how this is working, but it is. If you're wondering, this is my first broadcast live at my house in probably 4 years, okay? I have not had proper wired internet connection since then, and I'm currently doing this on my iPhone's hotspot, hence the name. Somehow, right now, it is cranking out about a 5 megabit per second upload speed, while the download is about 50. That makes no sense to me. That is unheard of. Typically, the upload speed is tremendously terrible, but for now, it seems to be working, and it seems to be doing okay. I haven't gotten any messages saying that it's not working, so we're going to go ahead and see. Hopefully, everything stays okay. That's going to be that's going to be the big question here, but we'll definitely do our best. How's everybody doing today? This is English time. This is what I believe. Is that right? We're on the. This is an English-based competition. This is good for me, and I love commentating these English leagues when I can, just because of the fact that typically my Thursday league it'll be about 8 p.m. for me. I'll get done around 10:30 p.m. That's not the case right now. It's currently a good 3 o'clock here in the Eastern time zone, so that'll give me a good opportunity to get it uploaded and get it get it edited and then get it uploaded by probably tonight, tomorrow morning, the absolute latest. So you guys across the pond there get it about midday, which is great. Just leave my phone on through the night while it's uploading, and all is well in the world. Again, sprint race setup coming here for Belgium. 8-lap sprint, 22-lap full Grand Prix. It looks as if it's going to be fine on the weather end of the spectrum. It looks as if it is going to be sunny, which is good. We would much rather see this grudge match take place on, I don't want to say a level playing field, but sometimes you get these weird races that don't really hold up any results when we do get the weather in. And also we love the DRS as well, right? DRS has been aiding the overtaking so much that when it's, especially with this new generation of cars, the DRS has been helping overtaking so much that we actually don't like it when it rains anymore. Typically we used to hope and pray for the rain. We get ourselves a bit of a mix-up. That's just not the case anymore. We are, I think, going to be getting that with the sprint race, though. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Hopefully we're going to be getting going here shortly. Hopefully I at least stay in the lobby. I tested career mode to see if it would hold up. That worked good. I tested being in a public lobby, and that seemed to work okay as well. So this is this is essentially dipping your toes into the pool to see if you can even get in without being afraid. So that's the big thing. Once again, thank you all for joining. Hopefully, I see more of you guys in the future because I'm really excited for this. Again, clean slate. I've never seen one of these drivers before aside from Patrick 78. So, hopefully we get ourselves a good race here. I think any minute we're gonna go to the get started. Hopefully. Worst comes to worst, if the stream lags out or whatever, I'll just have it uploaded on YouTube again by like midday tomorrow for you guys. So either way, you guys are going to be getting this race, don't you worry. Mic looks good. That's on the correct thing. We're in the PlayStation party. That all looks good. Looks as if shortly here we may get going. Whew, I am excited. I haven't been this excited for a race in a long time, and what a track to do it at as well. Looks like Frisky Biscuit, that's a good name. Krispy Kreme. I like this. Spears. Okay, so let me just. Okay, this is part of the cast you don't typically see. I'm going to try to get everybody's names right. TJ, will go with him. Ausamach. Well, Mach 9. Hey, that looks pretty good. Tiny, we'll say. ELS, Met, Rothwell, Don, Frisky Biscuit, Krispy Kreme, Deadly, Patrick 78, Cammer, Easty, Spears, Super Skills. I don't know if that's supposed to be Ali or Ole. I don't know. Trappy. In English, we say that is Oliver. I don't know how to pronounce that in the French. Olivier? I don't know. No, that doesn't sound right. Lewis Allen, Hellion, myself, and Watto. Being the American as I am, and I don't know how to get that one correct, we may just call him Oliver. I hope he's okay with that. Oliver? It could be that. Sounds rather French, has to be said. All right, hopefully we're getting ready here. Again, this is working for now. I hope it keeps working, because I really want to see this happen. Whew. Hopefully we're going to get going here shortly. Looks like everybody is at least in, except I don't believe HDL Watto has chosen a car yet. Although he's also a broadcaster, so that would make sense. How many do we have in? It says 20 of 22, but we have 2 casters. Does that mean... What does that mean? Does that mean we only have 18 in, and we're the 2? Okay, so yeah, must be good to go here. I don't know what we're waiting on. And there's the signal to ready up, at least for the ARD drivers. I'm thinking the HDL boys have gotten that as well. About to get underway here. I'll start the other recording now. Well, I'll start at about 15 seconds. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this inter-league grudge match here between the ARD and the HDL Leagues at the infamous circuit Spa Francorchamps in Belgium, in the heart of the Ardennes Forest. one of the most world-renowned circuits in the world. You think of those world-renowned circuits, a couple of names come to mind. You think of Le Mans, you think of the Nürburgring, you think of Silverstone, you think of Monza, you think of Bathurst, at least in my opinion. You think of Suzuka, and of course, you think of Spa. And I am absolutely pumped to be here. Hotspot on the call for you. I'll introduce myself a little bit while we have a moment here. I am a 22-year-old broadcasting student from New Hampshire of the United States here on the East Coast. I've been doing eSport F1 broadcasting for about 3, maybe almost coming up on 4 years now. In fact, my Thursday league that I typically do, I've just crossed the 100 cast threshold, I think 2 weeks ago. So very, very excited to be here. We've got 20 drivers on the grid, all looking to strut their stuff against both of these divisions here, against both of these leagues coming up. While we have a minute, let's introduce our lineups for tonight. On the ARD side of things, we do have Patrick78, Lewis Allen, TJ Hellion, whoever the hell Charles Legreg is. I don't know which one that is. That name is not on my list. Charles Legreg. I don't even know. Jamie, Mach 9, Rothwell, Cammer, and Tiny. And on the HDL side, we've got Frisky, Donnie, Deadly, Elliot, Trappy, J-Matt, DNB, Easty, Spears, and Lando. Which, again, I have no idea. That could mean a completely different thing. I'm assuming that the ARD guys are on the white color, as you can see here. And I believe our HDL drivers are on the purple violet color that you see here. Our first driver out on track is going to be of the HDL. It's going to be Krispy Kreme, as he's going to make his way up to the top of Eau Rouge and Blanchimont here shortly. It's a neat-looking purple and yellow livery, that. I have a pair of Nike Dunks that look slightly similar to that. Has to be said. I will, yeah, doing good here, doing good. Again, once again, I will say, if, sorry, that was my message tone. If we do have any problems with the stream, please let me know. I am recording this separately so I can have it uploaded directly to YouTube the next day if necessary. Our first ARD driver on track looks to be Ali here. It's a neat-looking red and white kind of, I don't want to say chrome livery almost, but yeah, that's exactly what it is, kind of chrome for the ARD guys. And of course, we saw the purple and yellow that Krispy Kreme is sporting in support of HDL as he's making his way in towards Campus and Stavelo here shortly. He's going to be our first driver on a timed lap. Very, very interested to see. Now, Spa, it's a very difficult track, isn't it? Because setups could go very much either way. Of course, we have the sun shining here today, so weather is not going to be a problem, not that I know of. Not only that, we do have the sprint race to consider as well, so these drivers may want to set up their cars for this qualifying session in a more of a race trim, let's say. And it's a very difficult thing to undertake here because naturally you have the high-speed first sector, but then the rest of the track you do need a good bit of downforce. So it's going to be up to the drivers on what they choose to do. Let's go along with Krispy Kreme here as he's going to mark our first timed attempt. He's going to head down the hill into La Source, the first corner of the track. That one's going to be a fun one coming off the line there as he exits the corner, gets pretty well on acceleration. Maybe a little wheel spin there, but not too bad. Up through Eau Rouge and Radillon now. In the old generation of cars, F1 2020 and 2021, that used to be a brake and a downshift. Now you can pretty much take it flat. Down to the Kemmel Straight we go. Absolute max rev limiter here into the braking zone at Lacombe. He's going to max out at 213 miles an hour into the braking zone. It's a 30.5 so far for the first sector. Oh, maybe a bit of a slide there, but he's caught it well. In through Malmedy and down the hill into Brussels, in my opinion, one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. It's just so off-camber and downhill. Definitely makes for some difficulties into the no-name corner, or Speaker's Corner, I guess is what it's called now. Down the hill now in towards the double left at Pouhon. Still a very difficult corner to get. You don't want to take too much of that inside curve. That car will go around rather quickly if that's the case, in towards the section of Campus and eventually Stavelo after this. Looks as if he's doing quite all right at the moment, holding it well. Looks like he's only set enough fuel for this first run, as I think we're going to see a lot of drivers do. Exiting Stavelo now, heading towards Blanchimont. Sometimes you'll see drivers go side by side through here. It does get very risky. The track is slightly narrow for that, but, it'll do its best. maybe a slight lift there. We don't see that too often. Maybe he's got that car set up more for the straight line, and that's kind of why we've seen that. In towards the final chicane, 18 and 19. Let's get the one of the ARD guys behind him. Across the line is going to be Krispy Kreme. It's going to be a mid 144, and the ARD of Ali has gone 142.617. And has put a solid little gap there back to Krispy Kreme. That's over a second and a half. So Ali has done very good here in the initial goings. I think next to the line is one of the HDL drivers, one of the purple cars, as you can see. I'm not sure who it is, but either way, one of them has just crossed the line. Let's see. TJ is on his way up through. He's just completed Radion now, and I believe he is on a time lap, although he's on the intermediate tires, which is slightly odd. Don't ask. I don't know. If I had an answer, I'd tell you. I don't. I believe, well, Frisky Biscuit looked like he was actually on a halfway decent attempt. As it turns out, he's invalidated somewhere. And if I had to guess, maybe it's coming off at turn 16, exiting Stavilo. Sometimes drivers like to go wide through that section, build up the speed as much as they can for Blanchimont and into the final chicane, but unfortunately sometimes you do tend to go a little bit wide. We do have HDL Spears has actually just gone second, less than 0.2 of a second behind Ali here. That's a pretty solid first lap. Still a lot of time left in this session as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers make some even better attempts. At the moment, though, the ARD lads do have at the top of the table with Ali at his 142.617. Next up is going to be one of the HDL drivers. Oh, that was a spin there for Rothwell as he's at the Lacombe chicane now on the intermediates again for some reason. I don't know. We've got, I think, a couple drivers on the intermediates at the moment. Mach 9 is there. Rothwell's on it. TJ's on them. And fastest lap now set by ELS at a 142 flat. That's put over a half a second back to Ali, which time up until now looked pretty good. But now, HDL takes the top spot. I believe we have a couple more ARD guys coming through the line. TS Deadly, 141.944. New fastest lap of the session so far. Provisional pole here. HDL ELS, that's put a 10th behind to him. Actually, less than a 10th as well. That's a very good lap there from the HDL guys so far. While we have a minute, let's go over the point structure for this event. First place is going to bring home 37 points. Second at 30. Another HDL guy, Easty, has gone P1 at the moment. About a 10th and a half clear of TS Deadly. 37 points for P1. P2 is worth 30. 25 for third. 22 for fourth. 20 for fifth. 18 for sixth. 16 for seventh. 14 for eighth. Ninth is 12. For ninth is 12 points. 10 points for 10th place. And I think 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2, and 1. That's all the way down to P19, and P20 gets nothing. Fastest lap does bring home an additional point, so that's going to be something to look out for as well. Who does have the fastest lap at the moment is that of Easty for the HDL. Lewis Allen for ARD has actually just gone under within a 10th of a second now on Easty's pole time. That's not bad at all. That's what time are we looking at here? It's a 141.926. That's not a bad lap at all there. And I think there's still a decent amount of time left in this session, so we'll be able to see a little bit more coming through here. I think a big key for tonight's race is going to be, these drivers. A couple big things I'm going to be looking for here. Okay. Number one, a lot of drivers on track. As opposed to the 10 teams of 2, we're looking at 2 teams of 10 for both of these leagues having 10 drivers on the grid tonight. That one's going to be careful. That one's going to be crazy. You do not want to collide with your fellow team drivers. This is that's going to make for something tonight. What's also going to be interesting is this. When we get to the round of pit stops that we're going to have about midway through the Grand Prix, we are going to have a situation where we are in custom cars. We don't know who's in whose pit box. We may get a situation, let's say Easty pits, and we got Lewis Allen behind him, and they share a pit box. We could get a situation where Lewis Allen is screwed over by the fact that the game wants to do a double stack, and double stacks in these games are not taken very quickly. Either that or, the car pauses for an unsafe release, type thing. That is a huge variable involved in this sort of thing going on here, so we'll have to wait and see when it comes towards race time. Of course, we are once again going to have the sprint format in effect today. Guten Tag from Oliver, or Sorry, you'll need to teach me how to pronounce that. You say Guten Tag, is that German? Not much German I know, unfortunately, although I did want to learn it for a time period, but that's about it. Anyways, Lewis Hallen, it looks like we've got 3 drivers on outlaps at the moment, only 3 drivers on timed attempts, according to my calculations here. We have Don on his way into the braking zone at Lacombe as he makes his way in. 30.5 through the first sector, not bad. Improve here. See, he's gone a little bit wide. The car's pushed just a little bit under braking. He's gone past the apex of the corner. Although sometimes you can take it slightly wider, and it does help with overall speed coming out of it and into the no-name corner. But yeah, it's a little tricky, that one. Through the double left at Puhan. In now towards Campus and Stavilo after that. Car looks pretty good at the moment. No complaints from me. Looks at least pretty smooth on acceleration to say the least. Exiting Stavilo now, heading towards the Blanchimont corner. Over here, there's very tight left-hander. I say it's tight. You can take it flat. Pretty much. Yeah, he's, I think, one of the first drivers we've seen take it flat tonight. Although, you get 2 cars, as I said before, get 2 cars going side by side through that. It's going to be absolute mayhem. Don is making his way out of the final corner now, out of the bus stop chicane. Across the line he goes, and it's only going to be P12. It's a 144 flat. At the moment, it does look as if the HDL drivers make up a fair chunk of that midfield. There is, I will say, it is pretty evenly split amongst the top 10 here. I believe we do have, 5 drivers from each going from in the top 10 here. Let's see. No, 6-4 at the moment for the what is it? The 6-4. 6-4 for the ARD drivers so far. This is going to be, I'm just realizing it now, this is going to be such a task for me as Olivier has gone P1 at the moment, 141 flat in for the ARD. I was just about to say there, it's going to be so confusing trying to go along with drivers here. We got just purple and white cars. You know, because sometimes I can go through and see what's happening based on the color of, you know, their little indicator on your leaderboard there. I don't have that ability at the moment. ARD cooking, yeah, not bad so far. Which, if you saw the start of the session, it didn't necessarily look like that early, but still 6 minutes to go here. I'm wondering how heavily these HDL guys are going to strike back. Again, we do have the sprint race, and yeah, that's going to be something, of course, as well as, you know, it is Spa. Chaos is definitely going to be imminent everywhere you look, and I'm hoping that we don't get too many team-on-team collision here, as far as, you know, you wouldn't want to see 2 HDL guys get into it, and you wouldn't want to see 2 ADR guys get into it as well. So, yeah, that's going to be something to look out for. We do have Easty on a time lap now. Keep an eye out for Mach 9, yeah, that's, let's see where he's at. Well, what's confusing to me at the moment is why they're all on intermediate tires. That doesn't make any sense. We also do have TJ and Met, still have yet to put together timed attempts. He's one of our faster guys together with the esports driver, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I think he may have left himself in a slight bit of a hole here because he's only got that 1 timed attempt on the board. 5 minutes to go in the session now. Easty has invalidated his timed attempt here, unfortunately for him. We do have Tiny making his way through Stavilo now. But he's not left himself a lot of time to put together a time lap. We're talking about Mach 9 here. They're going on the intermediates to see if this setup works. Are we expecting rain? I thought we were looking at a clear race. That was I thought we were looking at clear in the beginning. I don't know. That makes sense to me. Tiny's gone P6, but then Mach 9 has actually gone P3 behind him, so there you go. An ARD top 3 at the moment. I will say, though, Olivier has gone P1 still by over half a second over his 2 counterparts behind him. The furthermost HDL driver at the moment is P4 of Easty. who at the moment resides about 0.8 of a second off of the top spot at the moment. We do have another driver coming through the final stages of the lap now. Met has just gone P9. No, with setup, I mean check if the brakes work, check if the wheel works, and if they go on inters to not waste the softs. Yeah, okay, that's pretty fair. I mean, what I will see drivers do nowadays is in these qualifying sessions, we'll see them go to mediums and take it more of a race trim, just to get some reconnaissance laps. Because again, a lot of the problem with league racing is you're not always guaranteed to have, practice time. Life does get in the way, so a lot of drivers may treat the beginning of these sessions as their practice. I see a driver in my Thursday league do that all the time, and I tell you what, he does make himself get up towards the front. So it's definitely a strategy. If it works or not, we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, HDL ELS has gotten a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. And I just find where he is on the thing here. I'm wondering where exactly he was blocking. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where he would have blocked. Yeah, it's a bit odd. He's got a teammate behind him now trying to come through the final stage of the corner. It looks like he's going to pull off into the pit lane. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the session now, as HDL ELS is going to be starting another one here. Remember, he's just picked up a 5-place grid penalty, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. Currently resides about a flat second off the pole time set by Olivier at that 1:41.035. That's a very good lap so far, and at the moment it is an ARD top 3. Looks as if we're going to have a couple HDL guys rounding the line here shortly. Who they are. Met is one of them, and I believe Spears is going to be coming through here shortly, although I do believe he's on low fuel, and he is, he's only got 2 minutes to go here. He's going to, if he wants to put together another attempt, he's got to get in and out very quickly. 3 out of the top 4 drivers currently on outlaps at the moment. The 5th driver of Lewis Allen on a timed lap, making his way out of Stavilo now. Looking like, I believe that said, 0.3 of a second at least quicker through that 3rd sector. We'll have to wait and see, as he's going to be making his way through here very shortly. Through Blanchimont and in towards the bus stop chicane. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of it is going to be about exit out of the final corner. You do tend to get wheel spin coming out of it. We'll have to wait and see. Looks pretty good. DRS activated. To the line goes Lewis Allen. He does improve, but by only 16/1000ths of a second. So, for the time being, only P5 for Lewis Allen. We do have a couple HDL drivers coming around the final corner now, one of them being TS Deadly, who is finishing his lap here. And I tell you what, looks like he's on a great lap as well. Across the line he goes. He will go P3, 1:41.629, improves by about half a second there, moves within 0.6 of a second of our current pole sitter of Olivier, who at the moment is on an outlap, making his way into Stavilo now. 1 minute to go here in the session. ARD has, at the moment, 3 out of the top 5 spots, although Deadly has just finished his lap. Easty is coming on an outlap now. He's making his way in through Blanchimont, and at the moment, he's got to pick up a couple of tenths here to at least get himself onto the second row. A lot of drivers within that 1 second margin. We got the top 9 separated by 9.5 tenths. So, pretty evenly balanced top 9 drivers, although I will say, for the time being, ARD looks to have a slight advantage. Whether that lasts or not, we'll have to wait and see. Remember, we do have the sprint race coming up here in a moment, and then the full Grand Prix after that. Easty out of La Source now, making his way towards Al Rouge and Blanchimont. 5th position at the moment, up the hill, or not Blanchimont, Al Rouge and Radion, apologies for that. Exits the corner, DRS activated, 199 once the DRS at the activation point. Time has expired. We are looking at our final rounds of time lap now. Into Lacombe now, 7/100ths of a second. It's a good improvement, but is it enough? Through Malmedy, down the hill into Brussels. He's looking like he's on a solid attempt. He's got the ARD driver behind him. Lewis Allen has invalidated his final attempt here. His session is over, as well as ELS, who looks as if, for the time being, he may have been on a pretty halfway decent one. We're not entirely sure. Olivier, through Sector 2, at least, through Sector 1 that was slower by 1/1000th of a second. So, still a lot left on the table here. Easty's going to be coming to the timing line here any second now as he exits Stavilo. Looking like he's on a pretty solid attempt. 3.5 tenths quicker. How he didn't invalidate going through that corner, very surprising, as he looked like he went quite wide. For the time being, though, Easty has an opportunity here to put another HDL driver on the second row. Mach 9 has finished his lap. Deadly has finished his. At the moment, it's between Easty and Oliver for the top spot. Oh, in the back end, underbraking has come round heavily. Does he recover? Across the line goes Easty, and it's P3. 141.623, improves by about a quarter of a second there. Front row ARD, second row HDL. That, I tell you what, we are looking at a very interesting dilemma here, and also, not to mention, an all ARD third row as well. The top 10 cars separated by less than a second. 7 out of those 10 drivers belong to ARD. If you're in ARD, that's a good-looking statistic to have there. Although we do still have Camera on a timed lap now, although he's going to be coming into pit here shortly, so his lap won't matter for much. It does look as if the majority of the midfield is dominated by HDL at this very moment. Whether it stays that way or not, we'll have to wait and see. But for Olivier and Patrick, or Oliver, I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce that. I know it's interesting because it's like a French kind of name, but is a German, so I don't know. How do you pronounce things in German if you're French? I don't know. I don't get it. You know, I live about 3 hours away from Montreal. You think I would know a little bit of French, but unfortunately not. But a good-looking session, to say the least, for ARD. They're going to be quite happy with their result here. For at least the time being. So your starting grid looks like this. It's Oliver atop the table. Patrick 78 in second. It's an ARD front row lockout. HDL second row lockout for Easty and Deadly. ARD third row lockout for Mach 9 and Lewis Allen. 7th is ELS. 8th is Ali. 9th is TJ. 10th Tiny. 11th is Met. 12th is Rothwell. 13th is Trappy, 14th is Hellion, 15th Spear, 16th Biscuit, 17th is Cammer, 18th is Super Skills, 19th is Dawn, and 20th is Krispy Kreme. Again, we do still have the sprint left to come, and mind you, ELS is a 5-place grid penalty to come, but so far in the qualifying session, you'd almost call this 1-0 to ADR. So the sprint race up next. This is where things might get difficult and really shake up the proceedings here. It's going to be very, very difficult to say the least. Again, it's an 8-lap sprint race to come. Soft tires, pretty much the only ones you're going to use in this race. Maybe we see some go to the mediums in favor of a little bit more pace in the back end of the Grand Prix here. But it's going to be tough to say. That part's for sure. Once again, it's a very interesting situation what we have. We've got drivers here, two teams of 10 drivers. Whether or not they share pit boxes with each other is going to be something I look for in particular in the Grand Prix. In the sprint here, it's not going to matter that much. But for now, that may be something definitely to keep in the back of your head. ADR front row lockout. ARD front row lockout. HDL second row lockout. It did appear as if the ARD drivers did dominate the top 10. I believe once the grid penalty was applied, it was 8-2 in favor of ARD. But whether it stays that way or not is going to be something to look out for. Entertaining qualifying session, though, to say the least. We'll have to wait and see. This sprint, I tell you what, I'm pretty sure this sprint is really going to throw in the wrench to the plans here of the HDL guys, unless they keep it clean. If they keep it clean, they may be fine. As well as ARD. ARD have to stay out of each other's way, especially in the top 10. That's going to be the big picture. Frisky Biscuit has left the session. That's not good. Once again, if you notice any problems with the stream or you have anything you'd like me to improve on, please let me know in the comments. Especially with pronunciations, okay? Let me tell you something. Again, this is my first time seeing all but one driver on the grid. If you have a problem with my pronunciation of your name, please let me know, because I'd like to master my craft, and that is absolutely part of it. I'm just going off of first impressions here, so if I get it wrong, do help me out. Lewis Allen, go. Yeah, I tell you what, he had a pretty good session there. ARD Hellion has left the session. Helion. Ah, very good. Helion. Okay, good. No, I've got a driver in my Thursday league who kind of spells it the same way, but is pronounced Hellion, so that's why I've got that. But Helion, I'll keep that in mind. Duly noted. Perfect. Very good. If you're wondering what you just heard, yeah, that is my text. That is my text message tone. Just waiting to get ready to go here. The 8-lap sprint race up to come. I'm a goat of ARD. Yeah, tell you what, I don't know enough to disagree with you, so we'll go by it. But yeah, it should be a very interesting one here to come. Hopefully the quality of the broadcast hasn't really gone down that much. I did have to, lower it to about 720 to at 30 FPS. That was the only way I was going to make it work, really. I really apologize for that. You know, when I record it offline and I upload it afterwards, I can do good quality. But I'm afraid just to get the stream out, this was going to be the only way to do it. In fact, I'm actually still surprised it's working. I have no idea how this is making any sense. But once again, they call me Hotspot. That is my tag. Living in the rural part of northeastern United States, living about a quarter-mile inland from the main road. The internet companies just don't come inland this far unless you have the ground phone cable, which would cost me about $2,000 to run down my driveway. I just don't have that. It's just much easier to pay my phone bill. It has to be said. So if you're wondering why Hotspot's the name and why I'm actually a bit surprised that this stream is working, that's your explanation. Still waiting for the drivers to ready up here. Slightly delayed, I'm assuming it's just because we have this, interleague a few drivers with internet issues. Okay, yeah, I can't, I'm not impatient, just, as well. We got two different leagues going on with this. Yeah, that's all right. I believe, 24-hour Le Mans, sorry, not Le Mans, 24-hour Daytona is coming up, next weekend. Really excited for that. At least here stateside, we got that, NBC's streaming service, the Peacock, and they do it 24/7. So I just kind of have it open all day. I probably, usually I'll fall asleep with, YouTube on or something, so I'll probably do it that night. That'd be really good. It also took, 5 minutes to start the race to discuss race strategies. Okay. Very good, very good. That's going to be another thing with strategy-wise that will be slightly interesting when we get to go time here, especially in the Grand Prix. The majority of what we see now is basically drivers taking the mediums and the hards because they know they're going to last. In the older games, 2021, 2020, and before, we would probably see drivers oftentimes try to go out on the softs in this first stint here, but you don't see it anymore. These soft tires are really only for these sprint races like we're about to see and the qualifying sessions. The drivers just simply don't know enough about them now to actually make a good decision about using them. Sometimes on the off chance you'll see maybe 3 drivers on the grid use them, in case there's an early safety car and they get kind of the benefit of having the good tire strategy after that with the undercut. But other than that, you really don't see it that often. And that hurts me because I love tire strategy. But, that's the case. And I mean, a good example of that, we would go to Singapore in the old layout. You'd sometimes see the soft tires go for 15 laps at a time. And in a 50% Grand Prix length race, I mean, that's a good chunk of the race there on the softs. And here we go. I believe the formation lap about to begin here. Helion has left the session again. Formation lap underway once again. Do have an ARD front row lockout with HDL taking the second row. Olivier and Patrick on the front. Easty, Deadly taking up row 2. ARD of Mach 9 and Lewis Allen. Row 3. 7-3 as far as the drivers making up the top 10. Once again, the midfield does look to be comprised of mostly HDL drivers, but again, it doesn't really mean much, does it? Because they have to keep it clean. And we've got Olivier here and Patrick as they go off the line. I'm really hoping they don't collide with each other and make something happen. What they want to do is they really, want to block off these HDL drivers behind them. TJ from ARD is going to be the only driver in the sprint race here to choose the soft compound tire. I was kind of expecting to see more than that, but then again, this is a massively long track, so not seeing that, quite valid. These medium tires are going to be the optimal race tire as well, I'm absolutely sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here. We'll turn the telemetry off for now. When we need it, we do. No pit stops mandatory here in the sprint, unless you need a wing change or vice versa. So my question is going to be this. We've got Easty and we've got Deadly on the second row. What is going to be, because they're in an ARD sandwich at the moment, what is going to be their priority? Do they try to defend from the two drivers behind them, or do they try to attack? Now, again, the top 10 cars separated by about 9.5 tenths of a second in qualifying. Does qualifying add up in the race, though? Not all the time does it, so it'll be very interesting to see. And we still do have the full Grand Prix to come here later on, 22 laps here at Spa, looking at a total of 30 laps today, not including qualifying. That is a brilliant amount of racing. At Circuit Spa, one of the most famous and greatest circuits in the world, also most infamous for the carnage it sometimes delivers. And we're going to wait and see how much carnage we do see today, as Olivier and Patrick will round out the front row here. Olivier will have the inside line of the corner, which will help him. Whether or not Patrick is helped or not is going to be a big question, because Easty and Deadly may try to look for the inside of the pair of ARDs on the front row. Final few cars making their way to the grid now for the sprint race of this inter-league grudge match. ARD front row, HDL second row for the sprint race. Lights are going to be turning on here shortly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and eventually 5. And they are off. And it looks as if Olivier has gotten a great start. Patrick 78 has not. Easty will try to get up the inside as they make their way into La Source. Down to the inside. Easty's got the inside line, but he doesn't hold it. Patrick will get away well. And for the time being, all looks well behind them. Easty and Deadly have maintained positions. The question is, we do have Krispy Kreme off at the back for HDL, who unfortunately has gone around somewhere. And I'm just wondering, as it turns out here, we've had the top 4 stay completely the same, but here's Easty. Does he look for the left side? No, he's not going to have enough room into Lacombe to make that happen. For the time being, all the drivers kind of filing themselves out here. Now is not going to be the time to get too crazy. What we do have is ELS and Rothwell side by side on the way into Malmedy here. Down to the inside is ELS, and he's kind of taking it, but the switch back to the inside from TJ, and he's made that one work. Well, actually, no, that was Trappy behind. So for the time being, there's TJ trying to find their outside of Tiny. They've actually inverted positions there, have the 2 ARD drivers. We do have Rothwell, who I believe has just dropped 2 spots there, one to Kammer and one to Met as well. He now resides P14, but for the time being, the pair of ARD drivers starting to pull away. And, oh, by the way, what's another key thing here is if these two drivers pull away from each other and Patrick 78 has a second advantage over the pair of HDLs, we may get ourselves a huge thing with DRS. In fact, TJ and Ali are going to swap positions here, 7th and 8th now. So, for the time being, the top 4 have stayed the same. Ali has stayed the same. Everybody else has probably moved at least 1 or 2 spots. I would say so far, the HDL guys have not gotten off to that good of a start. They are going to need to be slightly more aggressive, has to be said as well. Speaking of aggressive, do we see Lewis Allen try to overtake TS Deadly here, probably into Lacombe? They're not going to have DRS this time. They're going to have it next time by, once they get atop the Al Rouge Radion. As they go up this time, however, Uzmak here trying to find a way. He's going to find the left side of Lewis Allen. Again, this is what we're kind of looking for. We don't want too many inter-team collisions here. What we do have as well, I believe ELS and Trappy may have almost looked to invert positions there. It's not going to be the case for the time being still, and it is an ARD dominated top 10 here for the time being. We do have Easty and Deadly. Now they were behind by about 0.8 of a second before. They're now they've closed in just a little bit. We have a yellow flag at the back. Looks as if Frisky Biscuit has made some sort of mistake there. Not entirely sure. We do have overtake from Trappy, getting around ELS there for the 10th spot. For the time being, though, all looks calm for the moment. Krispy Kreme, although I will say, has just gone off towards the back. What we do have now, is that a side-by-side battle going through Puan? There's no way. Yes, they are. Side-by-side here. Helion was along the right side of Super Skills there for just a moment, as Super Skills has gotten ahead of him, but that looked to be crazy. Unfortunately, I didn't, there's a lot going on here. I didn't quite get to that one, but they were side-by-side going through Puan. That is ridiculous. Well done to both of them for getting away well and making sure we don't have any sort of conundrums there. But coming across the line here for the, once again, is going to be Olivier, who leads the lap. Patrick 78, his teammate behind him, has set the fastest lap so far at a 1:44.214. Easty and Deadly have stayed within DRS range of the two ARD cars ahead of them. That may help. But as they make their way towards Al Rouge Radion once again, it does look as if it is going to be increasingly difficult for the HDL guys to get around them. Down the Kemmel Straight they go. Olivier still leads Patrick 78. Uzmak has gotten around TS Deadly here as Krispy Kreme is retired in the pits. Down to the inside. Does Deadly try to hold the inside? Oh, Deadly goes around. He's in the wall and the front wing is gone. And I'm afraid that one may have been pure driver error on the part of TS Deadly. He's lost the entirety of the front wing in the barriers in Lacombe, and he now has to go around an additional half the track to get back to the pits and reattach that front wing. It is not going well for HDL here, as that one is a huge blow for that set of drivers. For the time being, though, Uzamak 9 has gotten around that of TS Deadly. Looks like Spears and Rothwell side by side there for a moment. Spears has gotten around Rothwell. Once again, for the time being, it does appear that the midfield bottom half is dominated by HDL. The top 10, though, dominated by ARD. Whether it stays that way or not is going to be the question, as we do have now Patrick 78 and Olivier trying to make some moves here. As Lewis Allen's gotten around Mach 9 there for the 4th spot. So that now secures 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 for the ARD. So Easty is relatively alone here as far as trying to overtake the two cars ahead. The next HDL driver behind them does belong to Trappy, who at the moment is about 4.5 tenths behind Tiny for the 8th spot. Mach 9, does he try to get around Lewis Allen here? He's going to try the left side. DRS activated for him here. Yes, he will. Patrick 78 for the time being, knowing that this is a team effort here between himself and Olivier. He's not going to get close to him, at least close enough to overtake, not for the time being. Whether or not this sets the grid for the full Grand Prix, I'm not entirely sure, but what I'm assuming is that, yes, it does. And, well, if that is the case, it has to be said ARD slightly dominating the processions here. Still a lot of racing left to go. Remember, we have a 22-lap Grand Prix where anything can happen. Lewis Allen and TJ have inverted positions here on their way into the double left of Puhan. That's a slightly odd place to make it happen, but for the time being, they all stay relatively clean. In fact, TJ is now slightly dropping here as he's gotten overtaken by Ali as well. Whether that was planned or not, I'm not entirely sure. I do know is that all these ARD guys are in a Discord call with each other. Trappy now trying the right side around Tiny, side by side. Slight contact there, perhaps going through Stavilo. But for the time being, Trappy is doing his best here, trying to keep it clean, as Met and ELS swapping positions there. Easty trying his best. He's actually slightly within reach of Patrick here. 3.5 tenths in closing. He's going to need to be closer than that. And I think his best opportunity is if he gets a good enough exit out of La Source here. Up the hill, through El Rouge and Radion, and into the Camel Straight. Patrick has not gotten away well with La Source, especially in comparison to his teammate ahead. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, I tell you what, Easty may have had to lift there. Patrick 78 didn't have the best go through El Rouge either. Easty now trying the right side. Olivier in trouble as well. Olivier blocks the inside line. Through the middle goes Easty. Does he go for it? Yes, he does. And suddenly HDL have the top spot with Easty, who's just pulled off a brilliant double overtake. And the pair of ARD drivers tried to cover both lines. Well, unfortunately, 2 cars can't defend 3 lines of a circuit like that. And that third line was through the middle, and Easty takes the top spot. Brilliantly done. Wow, good movement there. So while ARD still have control of the top 10, it does look as if now they have the top spot. Mind you, HDL have lost 2 drivers. They've lost Deadly, and they've lost Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme DNF'd in the pits relatively early on. TS Deadly lost the front wing going through Lacombe just a couple of laps ago. He must have pulled it into the pit lane and called it quits. We do have now another, that is Frisky Biscuit, who has gone around at the double left-hander of Puan. Maybe the back end of the car has just slightly gotten away from him. We're going to have 3 laps to go this time by. Easty is in a tough spot here because, again, he's going to be lacking the DRS to a car ahead. He has been able to hold on because he's been within DRS range. He's now in a definite disadvantage here, especially when they get to the straight line. But for the time being, he'll at least hold the lead into the first corner. TJ and Ali within 1/10 of a second of each other here for now. Although, again, I think it's more or less just follow the leader. But here comes Patrick 78. Does he dare look for it? No, not up through El Rouge, but maybe if he gets a good enough exit to the Camel Straight, maybe a little contact there. Patrick down to the right side. And as much as he did make contact with Easty, you have to say it was relatively clean overall. Olivier will then overtake both of them, and Olivier takes the lead once more. And at the end of the day, a double overtake for him as well. Well, that will once again have the ARD drivers take the top spot. We'll check back with them in a minute. We do have Ali in pursuit of Tiny here, but again, you're not really going to see that happen. Whoa, look at this. TJ down to the inside of Trappy into Speaker's corner, and somehow he's made that happen. But now as they get to the double left here, these 2 drivers, once again, battling it out here for position. 2.5 laps to go now, and I'm thinking Trappy's got himself a really good chance here to put himself into the mix into the rest of the top 10, which he's going to need to do. At the moment, the Great Wall of ARD making up positions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But if HDL Trappy can intervene here and get around TJ, that will tremendously help the efforts for the HDL guys. Have to wait and see. What we do have is this. The 2 ARD drivers ahead of the train here trying to defend. It's very interesting here. It's an interesting dynamic because they're not only trying to defend each other, but they're trying to defend from the HDL of Easty behind. They have a 3-second time penalty picked up there for ELS. Only the second 3-second penalty picked up of the day. Spears took the other one just a little while ago. Meanwhile, Lewis Allen slightly falling behind this battle here, but he's not in any trouble at the moment. Let's see if Easty tries to make anything happen here. 2 laps to go now. Patrick 78 on the recharge ahead of him, atop of Radion. DRS activated here. Does he try the inside? How are the 2 ARD drivers going to react? Olivier takes the outside. Oh, and I tell you what, the 2 ARD guys did well to kind of outbrake Easty there. That one getting dicey again. They nearly went 3 abreast into the corner. That would have been ridiculous to try to do. Patrick 78, though, does take the top spot from his teammate for the time being, as we now have just over a lap and a half to go. Trappy within 0.3 of a second, and TJ here making their way into no-name corner or Speaker's corner. They battled it out there not long ago, probably last lap, I think it was. TJ goes way down to the inside of the circuit. Through Pouhon they go. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least, because I think Trappy hasn't really been close enough to make anything happen with DRS to this point. We'll have to wait and see. We do have Helion trying to battle Spears there for P16. Of course, Spears having the 3-second penalty. He doesn't need to exert himself, says Helion. Exiting Stavilo now. Trappy within a 10th and a half. He has to find a move here, but he doesn't want to get too ridiculous. TJ on the soft tires. They are older soft tires as well. Remember, the only driver on the grid to start on those soft compounds, and he's going to be at a disadvantage here. Trappy goes around the around the left side and does overtake TJ, and for the time being has only slightly infiltrated the Great Wall of ARD. Final lap underway now. Easty is going to have to get, I don't want to say desperate here, but he has to find a way at least down to the first row, because at that point it's anyone's game into the first corner when it comes time for the full Grand Prix. Don has picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but here they go, down Kemmel straight for the final time. Great Wall of ARD ahead of him, into the grass almost goes Easty, and he has overtaken both of them. Unbelievable work there from Easty, but now Olivier and Patrick behind will have to find a way to defend, or at least attack at this point. Oh, it's going to be so difficult here. They've not got a lot of track room in this final 2 sectors here to really do it. Their best opportunity might be going through Blanchemont and in towards the final corner, but even that's just a bit risky. Through Pouhon now. Olivier, 0.2 of a second. Med has picked up 3 seconds of time penalty. So now that means all drivers with 3-second time penalties belong to HDL. 0.3 of a second here. Closing in, but not enough. I don't think. He's had a little mix-up there on the way into Stavilo. Oh, but I think he's gotten away well. Does Olivier try it here? He's using the energy store. Gonna try it round the right side. Patrick 78 watches on in hopes that his teammate gets away well. Round the outside, contact being made. He'll have the inside line into the final chicane. Easty's gonna have to outbrake him on the inside, and he's done just that. And Easty, I think, is gonna come away with this. Yes, he is. A valiant attempt from Olivier. But at the end of it, Easty pulls off the switchback into the final chicane, and HDL will have their man on the front row. What a sprint race that was, and if that's any indication how the Grand Prix will go, I am in for a good one here. And so are you. Wow. Easty had to do everything he could to find his way around the pair of ARDs, and, well, it started in the Kemmel Straight, and it ended at the bus stop chicane on the final lap. What a finish to that sprint race we've just had. If you're only just joining us now, you might want to rewind and watch that one, because that was good. Easty takes the win in the sprint. Olivier goes second, Patrick 78 third, fourth is Mach 9, ninth is Lewis Allen, what am I talking about? 5th is Lewis Allen, 6th is Tiny, 7th is Ali, 8th is Trappy, 9th is TJ, 10th Cammer, 11th is ELS, 12th is Met, 13th is Rothwell, 14th is Super Skills, 15th Helion, 16th is Don, 17th is Spears, 18th is Frisky Biscuit, 19th TS Deadly, and rounding out the field P20 is Krispy Kreme. In towards the final Grand Prix we go. 2 drivers DNF'd. But what a battle we did have. ARD still command the midfield and the top 10 for that matter. But for the time being, Easty will have a good one into the first corner when it comes time for the Grand Prix. Wow. What a turn of events that race was. And the 2 ARD boys did all they could. Unfortunately, it just was not going to be enough at the end of the day. You know, I'm thinking maybe their tactic of blocking the middle lines there was just going to be what hurt them. Because I'm thinking if they kept up with the slipstream, you know, ideally you want the cars to be side by side to block the track, but that then punches 2 holes in the air instead of just the one hole in the air. You kind of know what I'm saying? Like, it's like in NASCAR, if you try to, if you're in the super speedway races, you're trying to, find a separate line for the draft. And you have to start a new line. You will be the head of that train. You will be doing the dirty work for all the cars behind you. And I'm thinking that was kind of the case there, because the two ARD guys tried to go side by side to take up the most amount of the circuit, but in that term, they were making two slipstreams behind them for the HDL driver. And that was what led to that overtake being made. We do have a slight lull here before we get going for the full race. If you're interested in more of the work I do cast at least, I would say, 2 leagues full-time now. The Jag Sunday Series, which has been a brilliant season so far, nonetheless, and the Midwest F1 League, ran by my guy Pork Chops in South Dakota. Been doing a great job. We're heading into, I believe, either the 11th or 12th round of this 11th season. And what a ride it's been so far. And I tell you what, if this is the quality of life in both HDL and ARD, for that matter, I will not complain if I get a opportunity to cast more races with y'all, because this has been some brilliant racing so far. Still have a little bit of time here before the formation lap gets underway. Once again, it's going to depend on how the strategy looks here. So, but this is what this is the question I have in my mind. Once again, we have a situation where the game will randomize what driver you share a pit box with. So it's no guarantee, that 2 HDL guys or 2 ARD guys are going to save. Are going to share the same pit box. It was It was a crazy battle for P1, Patrick. Yeah, it was incredible that. But I saw it. So back when this game first came out, we had to do this in Midwest F1, where we kind of the pitting is going to be Russian roulette. That's exactly what it is. We had a situation in our Thursday league where it was just simply, seeing these guys. Of course, they're put onto the teams. They had to remake the proper teams' liveries in game, which actually, tell you what, there was a couple good ones in there. But we were having Mercedes drivers pit with Alfa Romeo drivers and screwing over other drivers in the process. It was such a conundrum. And again, there's just no indication of how that works. So that's going to be a huge one here. As much as the ARD guys currently in their Discord call, I believe, trying to figure out what their strategies are, they better make sure they're not slamming into strategies with the HDL drivers. I don't know if this is just a one-off thing or this is multiple events. I think this is, for just my indication, just a one-off event, but they should definitely look to keep doing this sort of thing, because there's been some great battling here. And the interesting situation is this. We do have the HDL driver who took the win in the sprint. He's going to be on the inside going into that first corner, so he's going to definitely have some sort of an advantage heading into the first corner at La Source. Whether or not he keeps it is going to be the question. Going around the outside of that tight of a corner does not always work. Discussing in voice call with the strategies. Yeah, I definitely would. It's going to be interesting. We'll have to wait and see what tire compounds people will go on. I think, hopefully, we will definitely do this more. Hope you join us again. I do too, because this has been absolutely brilliant so far. My question is going to be this. How much do the drivers step up the aggression here? This is the be-all, end-all. This is the Grand Prix for the points, for the positions. Do we see more of these HDL guys try to, get the elbows out, try to get around these ARD guys here? Does that cause a safety car? Do we see drivers take the softs, take the mediums here in the beginning, just to try to, open up the back end of the strategy for them, open up the undercut? Of course, that would really only work if you started on the softs, but it is a fair question, has to be said. Leading points-wise so far. That definitely looks to be the case. The ARD guys really did dominate the top 10. And it has to be said, a lot of despite the end result there with the HDL driver finishing at the top spot there, the real dirty work was done by those fellas from P4 on down to, what was it, P9 that ARD had there. Those were the guys doing the dirty work. They were, really in good communication, and they were, letting the faster drivers go through. There was just no way that HDL was going to be able to get through that with that level of teamwork there. So hopefully for ARD, they kind of keep that up. Hopefully for the sake of being neutral and hopefully for the sake of a good broadcast, we see HDL try to strike back. But, you never know. It's a big question. It's a big question, isn't it? Of course, what we do have is almost a Monaco syndrome. You know what I mean? You know, at Monaco, the old saying, no heroics into Saint-Devat, very tight corner. Usually it's that first row of drivers who are going to get away safely. Everybody else at them is kind of in the palms of everybody else involved in that. Also, the back row might be helpful in this scenario as well. And that back row, for the time being, if they can get away well and stay out of trouble on this opening lap, both of them are HDL drivers, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. It is definitely something to think about, especially with this circuit. Don't know. Sun in quali and Sun in race. Well, unfortunately, I'm not in that race at the moment. And once again, I got to be said, I am quite thankful that we're not having any weather come into play in this race. As much as we do like to see adverse weather conditions, it does make the racing just genuinely better when we don't have it. And we are getting a situation here where we are seeing truly the quality of drivers take place in these dry conditions. Used to be able to say that about the wet. Not really the case anymore. You find that the races are not as tightly contested in the wet conditions now. So we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, and I would assume for the entirety of the race, it is going to stay dry. Formation lap still yet to get underway. Hopefully it's going to be soon. Ah, yes, there it is. Perfect timing. Formation lap underway now. Eastie will lead them off the grid. Now let's see what tires everybody chooses to go on. I would say, you don't see this quite often. It is, I would almost say, dominated by the hard tires. ARD should win, but you never know with this game. Well, that's absolutely true. It's very difficult to say the least, and hopefully there's no ridiculous glitches that comes anybody's way. But again, it is really a crapshoot. But what we are looking at here, Eastie on the hard tires, Olivier taking in second place for ARD on the mediums, Patrick 78 on the hards as well. So it's actually slightly the opposite of what I was initially guessing for here. A lot of drivers looking for the overcut as opposed to the undercut. We do have Cammer for ARD, and we do have TS Deadly on the both of them on the softs for their respective teams. We've got, what is this? 5 out of the top 10 on mediums, 4 of them on hards, 1 of them on the softs, and the majority for the back half of the grid is the hard tires. So especially those guys from HDL, not really putting any stock in the thinking of the early safety car. And quite frankly, if this was a proper Grand Prix here where we had, 10 teams of 2 drivers, that was going to be a definite case here. But, when you have the midfield at the moment, which is absolutely overrun by these ARD guys, that may just simply not be the case. Everybody's going to stay calm. Everybody's going to stay out of each other's way. It's going to be this mixture here, P8, P9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. That's where the action's going to happen on this opening lap. The question is going to be, does Olivier try anything into this first corner? He'll have the outside. Patrick 78's going to have a good opportunity as well. Mach 9's in there. Any of these ARD guys could relatively take the lead of the Grand Prix. But again, it's just simply going to depend on the outright finishing result. Because even if this HDL driver of Eastie takes the win, if ARD dominate the rest of the top 10, it's going to be a cake show. Oh, a cakewalk. Cake show? What does that mean? Eastie's going to be rounding the final corner now, lap 9 to 10 for softs to mediums. So yeah, about halfway through the Grand Prix is when we will see that opening round of pit stops, that being, if everybody keeps it clean, off the opening here. Easty will take his position on the inside of the track on the grid in towards La Source here. Olivier, it kind of angles his car in a little bit, not by much, as the rest of the grid forming up here. Whew, this is going to be a tough one into this first corner. We'll have to wait and see how well does ARD react with all teammates around each other. The lights are going to be turning on here shortly for the grudge match to begin. 2, 3, 4, and eventually 5 lights, and we are off here at Circuit Spa. Easty did get a good start. Whether it stays that way or not, we'll have to wait and see. It was side by side in the first corner. It still is. Patrick 78 trying to find a way around. Olivier has the outside line. In fact, I think Olivier will get around the outside. Yes, he does. That was slightly surprising. I didn't think he was going to have the traction, but Easty does lose the top spot as they make their way up through Rouge and Radion. Now, it does look as if Easty was caught out slightly by surprise there, and he will once again with Patrick 78 round the outside as Helion is DNF. This is a top Radion for the time being, though the track stays green. And that is a huge blow for ARD, considering that's just simply one less point-scoring driver. It looks like Mach 9 falling back, Rothwell falling back, Lewis Allen and Patrick 78 side by side, teammates here, mind you, battling it out into Brussels. For the time being, Olivier has opened a 1-second gap over Easty for the top spot. Lewis Allen now in pursuit of AMS Easty here as they make their way into the double left of Pouhon. Trappy losing positions, Uzmak losing position as well. He's fallen down to P12. He's lost 8 spots in the opening goings here. Now 9 as TS Deadly has gotten around him. And now here's Lewis Allen. Does he try it for the left side? No, not quite. Just ran out of track position. Patrick 78 now rapidly losing positions. I think he's lost 2 spots there in the span of just that corner of Campus and Stavilo. Something's happened there. But what's happening now? Lewis Allen down to the inside, into the grass. Does he do it? Oh, I believe he does. Very nicely done, but if he holds on to it, that's going to be the next question. Easty in pursuit, he's not going to try that much, he's not going to try that move, not now. That similar move he probably could have made, he did make in the sprint race, which resulted in the win. Olivier leads the opening lap, Lewis Allen behind by 1.5 seconds. Still no DRS here for the time being, as Mach 9 falls even more. He's down 15 positions in the opening lap, as I think he's just may have had a mistake going into the bus stop chicane at the end of the lap. What we do have now is this, Tiny trying to make a move on Easty here, atop Radion. No DRS activated. He'll look down to the inside. Does he get Easty? Oh, it's going to be close. Yes, he does. And he will get Lewis Allen as well. Now, I think that one may have been planned. Oh, contact being made there. Wheel-to-wheel collision for Lewis Allen and Easty, I believe. And that has resulted in Lewis Allen losing a spot. And now, TJ has taken the third. But here's Lewis Allen down to the inside. Does he get it? Yes, I believe he will, as Easty is now all the way down to P5 as HDL is on the ropes. Patrick 78, a driver who was quick in the sprint, has not had himself a good start here. He's lost 4 positions since the off. Now does have his teammate of Cameron Easty ahead of him. And Easty is losing positions, and he is in a sea of people that do not want to help him. That part is for sure. So this one might get very tricky here. Easty is the only driver from HDL in the top 10. Mach 9 is the only driver from ARD in the bottom 10. As Uzmak has overtaken Krispy Kreme there. But for the time being, still, it is nearly an even split between ARD taking the top 10 and HDL taking the bottom 10. As they make their way into the bus stop chicane here, Easty does have 0.3 seconds to Lewis Allen, does have Cammer in pursuit heavily behind. For the time being, though, and this is a key part, Olivier now has a 2.5 second lead over Tiny as they start the third lap. So TJ's going to have DRS to Tiny here. Easty's going to have DRS to Lewis Allen if he has it. We have Super Skills, Mach 9, Krispy Kreme, and Spears all on their way in. No early safety car. Easty down to the inside. He will perhaps get Lewis Allen. Yes, he does. Oh, does he, though? It's going to be side-by-side through Lacombe. And Lewis Allen is able to outbrake the HDL on the left side, and he will stay ahead. Wing changes here for Spears. I believe Krispy Kreme may have had one as well. Mach 9 as well. So Olivier has a 3-second advantage over TJ, his teammate. At the moment, he has a 5-second advantage over the nearest HDL driver, that being AC. Oh, and Camera's gone up. Oh, and there's a big accident here. We've got Camera, I believe, TS Deadly as well. The virtual safety car on track as those two drivers go off. The front wing is shed from TS Deadly, and I think Camera, well, I think at least he spun to the outside of Puan. Who was it? TS Deadly spun to the inside, and that's why he has lost his front wing. And what seemed to be almost two unrelated incidents, has to be said. As Camera kind of went around and then TS Deadly followed in behind. Sympathy spin perhaps from TS Deadly. What we do know is Camera is still on track. His tires are going to be chewed up now. But either way, he's on track and he hasn't hit anything. We are looking at this now. Easty in amongst 7 other ARD drivers here. I think the back end of the car may have gotten away from him a little bit that time heading into La Source. He is nearly almost outside of DRS range to Lewis Allen here. And that is going to be super deadly. If those top 4 cars all have DRS to each other and Easty misses out, that's going to be painful for HDL. What we do know is this. Ali here is under pressure, is pressuring Patrick as Tiny moves around TJ for the second spot. So TJ and Lewis Allen here now kind of making up the bottom end of this DRS train amongst the ARD drivers, as Easty making his way, now currently resides 7.5 tenths behind Lewis Allen. So 3 HDL drivers in the top 10, Easty in 5th, ELS 9th, Met 10th. Everybody else is ARD in the top 10. As far as the bottom 10 are concerned, Cammer and Mach 9, the only 2 drivers on track for ARD in the bottom half. Helion DNF'd rather early, it seems. I believe that was at the top of Radion, was that accident then. For the time being, now this is interesting here because what we have now is kind of a dilemma we haven't seen before. We've got 2 of these ARD drivers, 3 of them, in pursuit of each other here. You know, trying to share the wealth as far as DRS is concerned, but are they getting in each other's way? Could that open up a window for Easty to try to make something happen? That's going to be the case. Now, he is kind of looking at Lewis Allen here, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe does he get a move. DRS activated for Easty as they make their way down the pit straight on the hard tires. I tell you what, I think he may have a fair shot at Lewis Allen here. Ali is on his way into the pits. So the overcut may work here for HDL. I'm just wondering how much of a disadvantage they're going to be at when the time comes to pit. Or ARD in that respect. But here comes Easty now, trying the left side on Lewis Allen. There he is. He does get 1. And now, does he look for 2? Oh, I tell you what, he really wanted it. He had a fair look. Unfortunately, he ran out of real estate there to make that happen, but Easty makes his way up into 4th now. Splits is now in the middle of 6 ARD drivers amongst the top 7 here. HDL Spears fastest lap from the softs, 1:45.269. So HDL will, for the time being, take the fastest lap point. Remember, that's up for grabs as well. Lewis Allen here, 2.5 tenths behind Easty for the 4th spot. Olivier's opened up a 6-second advantage on TJ for the top spot, and that is seriously helping ARD at least, maintain that top position. 2.5 tenths here. Easty wants to overtake Tiny, but Lewis Allen wants to overtake Easty. This may get interesting here. These 3 drivers separated by less than 5 tenths of a second here for the time being. Have to wait and see. Cammer back there in P12. He's got himself an interesting dilemma as well. Currently, he's the equivalent of what Easty is right now, just in the bottom 10. Currently surrounded by HDL drivers, the lone ARD. And what we saw there, Lewis Allen didn't get the best exit out of the bus stop chicane. He's actually lost a bit of time here to Easty now. 4/10 of a second. We do have Patrick 78 now. And now this is interesting here. What Patrick 78 in any other race in his life would want this position right here. Well, he is going to look to take it. Again, he's on the hard tires. As Easty now within 1/10.5 of Tiny. This is for the third spot. Does he look for the inside? Yes, he does. He has it for now, and he does keep it. Very nicely done from Easty to get that third spot, and now has TJ in his sights. And then it is a very long climb to the top, a 6-second deficit. And oh, by the way, not only is it a 6-second deficit, he will then be the car who does not have DRS to anyone. He will be in a huge disadvantage. This battle between these two leagues is going to be decided on strategy. That's the bottom line. Through Pouan they go, into campus, and eventually Stavilo after that. Easty is within 0.2 of a second of TJ here. TJ doing well to defend, and all the while, this has helped Olivier open up another, I would say, 0.4 of a second back to these two drivers. Olivier doing well, that has to be said. He did enough to get around Easty out of the first corner, went around the outside. And quite the opposite now. Does Easty try the inside? No, he's going to tuck in behind TJ here. It'd be quite ridiculous at this point to try that move here. Will he try it into the bus stop chicane? Oh, yeah, no, I think he thought better of it for right now. I think for the time being, Easty is just in a better position having TJ with DRS ahead of him. But now, as DRS is activated here for Easty, as they make their way down the pit straight into La Source, does Easty try to overtake? The answer is going to be no. Oh, and he's got contact there behind from Tiny. Oh, that's almost been disastrous there. Not a lot of contact will send these cars around. That part's for sure. Up the hill through El Rouge and Radion now. Tiny's got 0.2 of a second to Easty. Easty's got 0.2 of a second to TJ. As Ali stealing the fastest lap now. And that being for ARD. So Easty getting around TJ. And Tiny getting around TJ as well. See, that's the, oh boy, that's a big slide there from Tiny. He's gone off track. He's picked up 3 seconds. But at the very least for him, he's been able to hold on to the car. As ELS getting around Rothwell now. So a couple more HDL guys getting into the mix here. But for the top spot, it's now a 7-second gap. Lap 7 of 22 at the moment here. Frisky Biscuit and Cammer battling it out there as they make their way. Oh, that's going through Brussels. Oh, Frisky Biscuit! Well, he locked it up in time. Was there contact involved in that? I'm not entirely sure. But that car went around, headed straight for the barriers exiting Brussels. Thankfully, he was able to get the car back down, but that one almost went poor. What we do have now is Metz trying to find position to Rothwell here. Rothwell's in a tough spot. He's got ELS in front of him. Does he try, to get around ELS and put himself in the disadvantage with the 2 HDL drivers behind him? Rothwell looking for the outside now. He's on the medium tires. Now, this is where I'm interested in what's going to happen. About that halfway point, it is going to be that pit window for these medium tires. And once again, these HDL drivers have taken the overcut. The majority of them have gone to the softs, or to the hards. Down to the inside is Rothwell. Does he get the spot? No, HDL ELS has gotten away ahead somehow. Thought Rothwell really had a good opportunity at that one. As it turns out, that wasn't the case. But now, into the grass goes TJ, and he has taken the spot over Easty. Lewis Allen and Patrick swapping positions there. Rothwell does get around ELS on the way into Lacombe with the aid of DRS down the Kemmel Straight. Oh, a bit of oversteer there for Rothwell. Nearly went around. He was able to hold on somehow. That one got very close indeed. Well, this is interesting now. The HDL drivers kind of bouncing back here. P3, 8, 9, 10, and 11 for HDL. But crucially, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for ARD. Coming up closer to about halfway through the Grand Prix here. Easty within 0.5 of a second on TJ. Frisky Biscuit, a 3-second time penalty for him. Let's look at our penalties now. Tiny on 3 seconds, Frisky, Deadly, and Krispy Kreme all on 3 seconds of penalties. So for the time being, it will be the HDL drivers that do not benefit from the time penalties being had. But crucially, with the tire strategies is going to be the question. That is where this race is going to be won and lost here, and I'm very interested to see if this overcut strategy for the HDL guys pay off. And we do have, that's Frisky Biscuit around, and that is a full safety car on track as Frisky Biscuit has gone around exiting Stavilo. He shed the front wing in the barriers on the inside, and now come the pit stops here, and that may just put the ARD guys in an interesting position, because what's going to happen here, the guys from mediums are going to go to the hards, the guys on the hards may go to the mediums. And here we go, ELS on the mediums, Met the mediums, Don the mediums, Camera on the hards, Ali on the mediums. So far only one driver for ARD being able to take the mediums. Everybody else is taking the hards. We do still have the top 8 cars, though, however, yet to pit. They were already past pit entry when the safety car had come out. Remember, they will be under Delta until the lead car gets around and picks up the safety car, which at the moment resides just before Al Rouge. As you can see, he's past him there. This is going down the support series pit straight. We'll tag along here for just a second. And this is going to be interesting as well because, you know, this is a problem that I don't think I initially foresaw. We do have now a situation where these ARD guys are going to be taking the hard tires. By the time the safety car gets over, again, there's still 19 cars on track. Spa is a massively large circuit. I tell you what, I think those HDL guys might be at the advantage as far as tires are concerned. We'll have to wait and see. In comes Olivier now, the race leader, and surely the absolute conundrum of cars behind them. Into the pits he goes, hard tires being put on, TJ on his way in now, and I'm just waiting to see if we do have any Russian roulette scenarios with cars here. Into the box comes TJ. Oh, and thankfully into the spot behind. So what we do know is this: Easty and Olivier are sharing pit stalls at the moment. That was massively close for Easty. Had he been up another position or even closer by a couple of seconds, he would have absolutely lost out there. But he stays third. And so now what we see is a lot of ARD guys taking the hard tires. Olivier on the hards, TJ on the hards, Lewis Allen on the hards as well, Tiny, Rothwell, Cammer, all on the hard tires. As far as HDL is concerned, Easty on the medium, Patrick ELS on the mediums, Met on the mediums, Trappy, Don, Ali's ARD, Deadly, and finally Frisky Biscuit, all on the medium tires. Oh, this is going to be close here. It's so difficult to say. Had this safety car came out maybe 2 laps earlier, you would believe that ARD would have the advantage come the back end of the race. Now, I believe, say we don't get the safety car in until the next lap, as Spears picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Say the safety car doesn't come in until the next lap, lap 12, when we go racing again. It's only a 10-lap task there for those on the medium tires. That may prove to be tricky. Everything going good with the stream so far? Well, it definitely appears so. Of course, I can't tell, so you'll have to tell me. I think, for the time being, yeah, we haven't gotten any notices saying that the internet quality is too low to broadcast. Again, I've got the backup. I've got the recording going on as well. So, yeah, all looks good. Either way, we're going to get this race online. So, from initial looks here, unless the safety car makes the decision rather late, it looks like we will go racing again on lap 12, which will give us just over 10 laps to go. Olivier has the top spot on the hards. Again, we know TJ is going to defend behind as much as he can. The question is going to be obviously Easty on the mediums. That's going to be so tricky. If Olivier can get out to enough of a gap here before DRS is activated once again. Oh, that's going to be tricky, isn't it? At the moment, from initial looks here, ARD still probably dominate the points. Whether it stays that way or not is going to be the question. Here's a look at how we've moved about so far. ELS up 10 positions does, I would think, hold driver of the day at the moment. However, TJ in second, up 7. He's a good candidate for it as well. As far as penalties are concerned, we've got Tiny, the only driver on ARD with a 3-second time penalty at the moment. Everybody else belonging to HDL. Deadly's got 3 seconds. Frisky Biscuit's got 3 seconds. Krispy Kreme 3 seconds. And Spears has 5 for speeding on his way into the pit lane. We do have Spears kind of making his way back to the rest of the grid now. Thankfully, it looks as if he's going to make it back by the time the safety car comes in. So that decision will be made as they exit Stavelo. You can just see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, the bottom of the track map. You can see that little white line. That is the sector split. And that is where that safety car makes that decision. At least that's the way it's programmed in this game. Usually it kind of, in real life, it'll kind of know, you'll get the message that the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. And it does happen sometimes slightly earlier on in the lap. The safety car itself will speed away once it gets to that timing line. But it makes its own decision about here. So let's see what happens. Do we get it in this lap? Yes, we do. So Olivier has the top spot on the hards. TJ second, Easty third. Lewis Allen fourth, Patrick fifth. The top 5 still dominated by ARD. Whether it stays that way or not is going to be a huge question. Because again, a lot of these ARD guys have to go on the hard tires. And with 11 laps to go this time by, it has to be said, in the initial proceedings here, it will look as if HDL has a slight advantage. Being that they're on a majority on the medium tires, yeah, this is going to be a close one. Has to be said. Olivier, who has dominated so far today, took the lead, exiting the first corner on the opening lap, has not looked back. Now has to get out to a good-sized advantage here over at least TJ. And hopefully TJ behind him, at least for his sake, tries to defend. Green flag in the air here. Easty has not gotten away well. He is over a second behind the top 2 already. And we'll have to wait and see. Does Lewis Allen... Now, I would assume here Lewis Allen will play quite aggressively here as they make their way out of La Source and up the hill towards Al Rouge and Radillon now. It's going to be very difficult. Lewis Allen is... Obviously, he's on the off-compound tires. Hopefully, for his sake, he's able to gain some ground here. Although, for the time being, TJ has a 1.5-second advantage over Easty, as we do have Tiny and Met side by side on the way into Lacombe. Oh, it's going to be close, but I do believe Tiny does get away well, as Trappy getting around Rothwell for the 9th spot. Making their way through Brussels now. Easty is in a whole lot of trouble. He's got Lewis Allen behind him. The top 5 dominated by ARD. For the time being, though, 6-4 amongst the top 10 in favor of ARD. Lewis Allen here within 2.5 tenths. Easty has to do something here. Not only is he losing ground to Olivier, the top spot, which he wants, he's losing ground to TJ, who is his only shot of getting back to this battle for the lead. If he loses DRS range on TJ, it's going to be all over for him, unless TJ and Olivier make some sort of miscommunication or error. A lot of implications in play here. DRS will not be activated this lap. I think they're going to have to wait for the next one here. TJ here is going to have to be the absolute defending icon for ARD here. It will not be DRS activated this lap. Patrick, 78, in for ARD, does at the moment have the fastest lap. It's a 144.3. Remember, that fastest lap point is in play as well, so that very much could mean a lot. Easty here up through Rouge and Radion behind them. Lewis Allen, 0.4 of a second. Not necessarily closing, though. That might be slightly worrying. I think what's going to happen here is Patrick is going to have to invert position with Lewis Allen, and perhaps, and Easty for HDL, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and that could very well be death for HDL. Unless, perhaps, again, there's still a lot of racing left. We're only just halfway through this Grand Prix. Still a lot of racing left to be had. But at the moment, that is a very worrying sign there for the HDL boys, as we have a yellow flag at the back. Several drivers off track. Frisky Biscuit, Don is off. The safety car on track again. Several cars. Jesus. Front wings everywhere, and it is a massive pileup. It is an unbelievably massive pileup for HDL. The safety car on track. Oh, boy. That bottom 5-6 cars there, all in amongst each other, got involved going through Speaker's Corner. Could have just started with one driver going around in a traffic jam behind him. And I think that's exactly what's happened here. Now, this is the question. Does Olivier pit for medium tires? No, he stays out. What about TJ? TJ does stay out as well. Easty stays out too. So does Lewis Allen. So does Patrick. ARD have won now. Well, I tell you what, it is looking increasingly likely. That was a massive off then for the HDL boys. Pretty impossible to come back now, I have to agree. Although we are at Spa, anything is possible. But in my expert opinion, and probably the surplus of 115 Grand Prix casted, yeah, I think I'd have to agree. Man, what a tough break for HDL is. Well, okay, but this is interesting, though, because now we're looking at it like this. Now we got a fair group of them on the softs as well. Tiny on the softs, Uzmak 9 on the softs, Deadly softs, Super Skill softs. So those bottom 12 to 18 cars, all on the soft tires. Patrick 78, you are absolutely correct. Those this safety car here will spice things up. My question is, are these, bottom 6 drivers, or bottom 8 drivers, are they out of time? That's going to be the big question. And also as well, a lot of them do have penalties applied as well. Tiny's got 3 seconds, TS Deadly, so a lot of these HDL guys do have penalties. But what I do know is this, positions 1 through 11 have all stayed out on track. By the way, are you going to be the steward for incidents after the race? I certainly could. Well, if you need me to, I probably could. I don't know. I'm just a broadcaster. I'm in a tough spot to make decisions for 20 other guys. Although, me probably being the most neutral set of eyes on this race, that's probably not a bad idea. So, we will get in touch with that later on. Krispy Kreme now has just picked up an additional 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. This is under safety car, and that puts him up to 6 seconds. Yeah, you're the most on by. Yeah, probably so. Well, we'll have to see what reports come in. But what I will say, though, is this. I don't think there's going to be a lot of reports to be had. Mostly because what we've seen so far has just simply been ARD dominating the top 10 and HDL dominating the back 10. So, it's very tough to say. I haven't really seen anything worthy of penalties either. That's a big thing as well. And that incident there that's just brought out the safety car, that looked to be all in amongst HDL drivers. So, yeah, I don't know. Rothwell's picked up 5 seconds for speeding to the pit lane. I would say I do not expect many steward reports to be had. Although, I have been wrong before, and I was right about it. So, Olivier has the top spot. Most car v car crash at the same time. Well, right, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's I think realistically here, if HDL don't walk away with a good result, they may have done it to themselves, because not only are they being involved on these car-on-car, team-on-team crashes here, they're also picking up 3-second penalties. That isn't going to help them no matter what. So, for the time being, I think HDL, their loss here, hasn't necessarily been at a case of, you know, not being necessarily as skilled. I think it's just been slightly sloppy for them. You know, ARD has done well. They've communicated well. They've worked together as best they can. If they end up winning today, that's going to be the reason why. But safety car will most likely be in at the end of this lap. We'll have 7 laps to go. This time by. Now, once again, the question is, these guys in the back half of the grid here, P10 on back, all on the soft compound tires. How much of a wrench does this throw into the plans of those in the top 10? What I will say is this, though. We are looking at now the leader of Olivier, TJ, and Lewis Allen for ARD. They are now undoubtedly the minority of the track being on the hard compound tires. Everybody else in the top 10 is on the mediums, and everybody behind them is on the softs. This is going to get interesting right quickly. I will keep the penalty tracker on screen now so we can have a fair look at it. And now, the safety car will be on their way in this lap. Olivier has to get away well again. He did so well the first time, being able to quickly put together an advantage for himself in ARD. Whether he does that a second time is going to be the question. EC is in a tough spot now because he has some undoubtedly good pace if he's able to get around some of these guys here and you know, kind of negate that 3-second penalty. It could be a very good result for them, but a lot of racing left to go. 7 laps to go this time by. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, then ARD is going to walk away with this one. Now let's see what happens here. Olivier gets away, I would say rather early now, on the way into the bus stop chicane. Exits the corner, gets away well, and again, Easty has not gotten away well. He was at about a second disadvantage the first safety car restart. He's at about 7.5 tenths the second one. It looks like Mach 9 has lost a lot of positions there, losing at least 2 or 3 there on the opening jump. The top 2 cars, TJ and Olivier, now out front by 8.5 tenths of a second, a net almost 4 seconds, as Spears picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So now, I would have to believe the job is up to Lewis Allen and Patrick 78 here, as Trappy and Met get around each other here, as, what is this, Lead trying around the outside of, oh, and there's Met into the barriers! I think, who was that? I think it was Met. I thought he was going around. He must have held it, but he's lost several spots there. But now, here's an interesting situation. Easty... Oh, Patrick, 78, 3-second time penalty. HDL ELS around the outside of Patrick. Contact being made. Patrick, oh, he's missing his front wing. Oh, that's a huge blow for ARD. Oh, and he's got the 3-second penalty himself, and Tiny as well. And now is missing the end plate on the right front side. Oh, this is going downhill quickly. An upset just may happen here. And for the time being, for the first time today, we are seeing a pretty even split between ARD and HDL drivers as the virtual safety car on track now, as I believe, yes, it's Ali off at the back. I think he's shed a front wing, as well as, what is this, Mach 9? Well, he's just at the back, but Ali has shed the front wing here, and that is the reason for this virtual safety car on track, as ELS picking up a 3-second penalty under the virtual safety car. Patrick on his way into the pits, but crucially, once again, a lot of penalties in play. And now Olivier, 2-second advantage over TJ here. TJ doing as best he can to back up Easty under the virtual safety car. Remember, they'll have to stay under Delta or they're going to pick up a penalty. Still no green flag yet, I would assume. We're going to get back to green here shortly. Oh, I thought it was there for a second. Somehow, the drivers on the soft tires have still stayed at the back kind of half of the grid here. actually a little surprised at that, but either way. Green flag back on track. Rothwell, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And now, but this is an additional problem for HDL. If everybody picks up a penalty, it's not going to mean anything. You know what I mean? If everybody begins to pick up penalties, the battle's just once again going to go back to track position. As Frisky Biscuit now picks up 3 seconds, that puts him at 6. Rothwell's at 8, TS Deadly at 3, Krispy Kreme at 6. Lewis Allen, 0.4 of a second here, but here's Easty. He's got 3.5 tenths back to TJ. But will he be under pressure from Lewis Allen? We'll have 5 laps to go, this time by, as here's Easty. Does he look for something around the outside? Oh, he's not going to do it now, but I tell you what, he's definitely having a look. Does he do it into the chicane? He's going to try the left-hand side. This is the first kind of crack at the top 3 he's had since the off, where he lost the top spot, and he's in position and now takes the second spot. DRS activated. He's behind by about 1.5 seconds, and the 2 drivers behind him, crucially, will have DRS, as well as Easty having the 3-second penalty. It looks as if ELS has gotten around Tiny there. Those drivers battling for position with both of them on 3-second penalties. Trappy has now gotten around Tiny. They're side by side, wheel to wheel. Oh, don't tell me you're going to go side by side up through Eau Rouge. There's no way, as Tiny does somehow muscle his way around, as both drivers getting their elbows out. TS Deadly, 3-second time penalty. Into Lacombe they go. Easty has picked up about 0.4 of a second on Olivier. Those medium tires coming to life, and the softs probably coming to life as well. Lewis Allen needs to overtake Easty here, as well as TJ, as well as Tiny needs to get onto this as well. He, at the very least, and this is for Tiny, needs to hold off the 2 HDL cars behind him as much as he can. This race is coming down to the wire. The top 5 still dominated by ARD, but the rest of the top 10 has now switched to HDL, which is the first time that's pretty much happened all day. So it's an interesting dynamic here. The high-paying positions dominated by ARD, but everything else looks to be in the way of HDL. It's going to be interesting to see. I haven't taken a math class since sophomore year of high school. I'm 22. Do the math on that. It's been a long time. So, I'm going to be not the person to look to calculate this on the fly. What I do know is this. If ARD is able to hold the top 5 like they're doing, it may just still go in the way of ARD, but they're leaving it pretty close, it has to be said. We have 4 laps to go. Easty within 1 second of Olivier. Lewis Allen, unfortunately, has not been able to hold off the driver on the mediums. Helion has left the session. DRS activated here for Easty. Olivier trying to weave, trying to break the toe. And even if Easty overtakes Olivier here, all he needs to do is Ali picks up the fastest lap for ARD. That is crucial. Even if Olivier gets overtaken here, Easty has to build up an additional 3-second gap over the rest. As Uzmak 9 picking it up now. Once again goes for ARD. But again, Easty has to not only overtake Olivier here, but also accumulate a 3-second gap over Olivier. And unfortunately, as for the next time by, we're going to have 3 laps to go. Yeah, he's just simply not got that much time. What I will say is this, he is slightly leaving Lewis Allen in the dust. Well, not necessarily in the dust, I shouldn't say that, but he is starting to put himself a little bit of a gap here to Lewis Allen. No DRS here through Blanchemont. They're going to have to wait for coming out of the bus stop chicane. What I do know is this, Lewis Allen is starting now to get slightly closer. He was at about 5.5 tenths. Oh, as Rothwell is DNF, and the safety car's on track with no time left. Rothwell for ARD. Easty is on his way into the pit lane. And here's just the note. You cannot, drive-through penalty for Tiny for speeding into the safety car. You cannot serve a 3-second track limits penalty under safety car. Tiny has a drive-through penalty now for ARD. A lot of drivers are coming in. That part is true. However, what I do know is this. That safety car will most likely be coming in either this lap or next. And we're going to leave ourselves with 1 or 2 laps of racing left to go. No DRS will be in play. It suddenly, again, I don't know how this has happened. Suddenly, only the top 2 spots are being had here for ARD. They're leaving a lot of points on the table, with 2 drivers having DNF'd. And now I would almost say the majority of them towards the back end of the grid. Although I will say, though, a lot of these HDL guys do have 3-second and 6-second penalties. Whether that makes a difference or not is going to be a huge question here. Wow. I would very much assume the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. Tiny has a drive-through penalty that he will need to serve, as well as Ali. 2 drivers for ARD are going to be losing points here. That much is for sure. Crucially, Tiny. Remember, it is for third place, 25 points. That will no longer be going the way of ARD. The top 2 spots were 37 and 30 points respectively. So, a good little gap there. However, again, the midfield, which we saw in the sprint race, was not dominated by HDL. And even earlier on in the race, the second safety car that came out was because of a huge pileup with all HDL drivers. And now, with 2 laps to go this next time by, it is, I would say truthfully, completely up in the air as who is going to win this battle. I still think as far as the sprint is concerned, that'll be, I mean, I'm not entirely sure if they're getting points for the sprint or not. I would assume, I don't know. I don't know if they're getting points for the sprint or not. That part I'm not sure. What I do know is this. HDL may win the race section of this. The sprint absolutely belongs to ARD, no question. But with 2 laps to go here, as you can see, Lewis Allen backing up Tiny as Olivier gets out to a 2.5-second advantage here. ARD ahead by 5 from the sprint. Does it hold that way with 2 laps remaining? Lewis Allen leads the charge in towards turn 1. Tiny does not choose to serve his drive-through penalty. Down to the inside is T.S. Deadly. A mistake now would be horrendous. And now, Easty gets down the inside. He'll have to look to get around Tiny. Tiny on the drive-through has nothing to lose here. Easty's going to be held up tremendously as Trappy, a 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, and Trappy being an HDL driver, that's going to hurt. Easty trying the right side. Lewis Allen ahead. Easty gets around both of them. Into Lacombe. Of course he has the 3-second penalty. Oh, that's a huge accident there. Deadly went clean into the side of I don't remember if it was TJ or Lewis Allen, whoever it was, went clean into the side of them. Oh, that was a big mistake there, especially as the points are concerned. Huge, huge mistake there from TS Deadly. Lewis Allen, a 3-second time penalty, and that is huge for ARD as TS Deadly retires from the session. Oh, and who is he taking with him? It's Uzmak 9 and TS Deadly have gone off, exiting Speaker's Corner. Patrick 78 getting around Krispy Kreme there. And suddenly, the proverbial crap is hitting the fan. We're now looking at it like this. Final lap about to be underway. Surely nobody's going to be low on fuel, but I mean, dearie me, it's all going down. Penalty still in play. Let's not forget that Tiny on his way in. He has to serve his drive-through, and he's doing just that. Final lap of the race underway. TJ, at this point in time, can still get the second position. He will need that second position as HDL ELS getting around Lewis Allen. Remember, these two battling for position here, out and out. TJ has 7/10 of a second between himself and losing the second spot outright to Easty. Easty does not have DRS to Oliver. That is pretty much certain here that Olivier is going to walk away with this race. The rest of it, although it is really up for debate here, as Lewis Allen doing his best. He's going to have to find a way around ELS here. He cannot afford to lose the spot to Met either. Met on the no 3-second time penalty for him. He's going to gain both of these spots here. Lewis Allen, damage control, needs to get around ELS, and he's losing position. He's losing track position very quickly here. Olivier, and now only a 0.5 of a second gap. TJ, a 3-second time penalty for him. So now a true battle for position amongst the positions 2 through 5. And now here's Easty, the final lap of the sprint. He made something happen. Olivier loses it. He holds onto it somehow, but Easty in position here. Of course, he does have the 3-second penalty. But this is huge here. Any contact, any incident with Olivier could result in this going the opposite direction. And now, does Easty try it into the chicane? Met gets around Lewis Allen. Olivier does his best trying to defend here. It is going to be out and out Olivier taking the win here. But it's going to be such a question as what happens with the rest of the points. All these drivers on penalties. ADR taking P1, P3, 6, 7, and 14, 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, and 14, 15, and 16 for ARD. It is an even 5-on-5 split in the top 10 between HDL and ARD. ARD took the top paying position here. And they took the fastest lap as well. Wow. Spears picking up driver of the day, although I'm not sure that's worth any point. That was an amazing one, to say the least. So after it's all said and done, all the blood, sweat, and tears and carbon fiber shed on the racing surface today, Olivier takes the win for ARD. Easty second. Third is, what the hell, what have I done here? Third is TJ. Fourth is Met. Fifth is ELS. Sixth is Lewis Allen. Seventh is Patrick 78. Eighth is Spears. Ninth is Cammer. 10th is Trappy. 11th Super Skills. 12th is Krispy Kreme. 13th is Frisky Biscuit. 14th is Tiny. 15th Ali. 16th is Uzmak 9. 17th is TS Deadly. And unfortunately for Rothwell, Dunn, and Helion, they did not finish today's Grand Prix. Well, I don't know what the math is initially, but what I do know is we've had ourselves an excellent race here today. Hotspot's been a pleasure joining you today here for this interleague matchup. Hopefully we do this again. Be sure to like, subscribe, do whatever you'd like. I post to this channel quite a lot. Hopefully I'll see you soon.